Yo, ladies and gentlemen, we are back again with another disturbing Jay Slater video. There's a number of things that I want to discuss in this video, so make sure you don't go anywhere. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if we are new. Recently, we've been speaking about the missing time. Missing time in this case is extremely key. Me and Duncan Smith both believe that there is missing time. I spoke about the missing time between Brad's call and Lucy's call. Duncan Smith mentioned the 3 hours of missing time, but he's also brought it to our attention the 12 days of missing time. And we're saying, what, 12 days of missing time? Well, there's 12 days of Brad missing time, but there's still more to this missing time than meets the eye. 12 days of missing time for Brad. Where was Brad for 12 days? I'm gonna delve into Brad later on in the video, so make sure you guys stick around. But the missing time, is there missing time? Because that is extremely bugging me. For some reason, I feel like 2 days have been squashed into one. Maybe not even 2 days, maybe just a day and a half has been squashed into one. Again, I'm gonna help you make sense of that later on in the video when we discuss Brad. Another person that's been brought to my attention, someone that we spoke about months ago, is Pedro. Pedro. Is this the guy that AFC with Ophelia when he was asked to move the car? This is the guy that allowed Down the Rapids to stay at one of his accommodations. In fact, he's an Airbnb host, just like Ophelia, just like Roman. There are a number of question marks surrounding this Pedro guy. Even towards the end of DTR's stay at his Airbnb, that was even shady. And I feel like there's something that happened that a handful of people know about but are not sharing. They're not talking about it, including DTR. There's just something about this Pedro guy I really don't like, and it's only now I'm thinking about it. Even the picture that he took with DTR, he seemed like he didn't want to take pictures. Allegedly, he was telling DTR to stop filming whilst he was there. Again, if anyone does know any more, feel free to drop me an email. You can see it flash on your screen right now, and I'll try and respond to as many people as I can. Okay, so I want to start right here with this on the screen. We've seen this before. This is the Signi team statement that they made after Jay's body had been found. One thing we do know is Debbie Duncan, Jay's mum, has been religiously thanking this Signi team. Every time there was a GoFundMe update, it seemed like there was a massive thanks to the Signi team. Now, something that I've questioned recently is the fact that the family haven't been fighting for justice. And maybe, just maybe, the reason why Debbie isn't pushing for justice and isn't trying to find the truth is because she doesn't want to answer to the GoFundMe. That was £70,000, £70,000+. It also makes me believe another reason why she kept thanking the Signi team is because there was an illusion that was created to make it look like a lot of the money was being spent on that Signi team. The true facts are is the Signi team didn't turn up until the day before Jay had been found. So why did they deserve so much praise? Why did in every single GoFundMe update did the Signi team religiously get praised, but there was no praise for the people that allegedly gave the Guardia Civil the tip-off for where Jay's body was? Even in the updates, there's no real thanks to the Guardia Civil for the work that they did. Another thing that's questionable is the Signi team landed on July the 14th, the day before Jay was found. And they made this statement, which I'm going to quickly read through. Some guys might have read it already, but I want to read it again because there's some things that jump out to me. But what I'm questioning is the fact that 28 days prior, the Guardia Civil was in the same ravine. They would have had to have walked the same roads, the same pathways, and they also had canines. How is it throughout that whole time they never was able to find Jay's body? There was nothing that they discovered that led anyone to believe Jay's body was even there, other than the screenshots and the witness statement from Ophelia. So again, I'm struggling to understand if the Guardia Civil was thoroughly searching that area, how did their canines, their dogs that are specialized in finding missing people, specialized in picking up DNA, blood samples, how did they not come across Jay's scent whilst they were searching that ravine at that time? In fact, where the body was allegedly found, where Chris Tenerife claims the body was, they didn't go down into that area because you need ropes and a harness to get down there. But then even then, Jay's scent didn't take them up to that location. And then even then, when you go back to what Brad said, and we will get back to what Brad said, he just said Jay went down some little bit. What little bit could he have been referring to? That means Jay would have had to have walked a fair distance from that point onwards to have found himself off the edge of that cliff. Again, that brings us back to the missing time, because if Brad would have spoke to him at 8:30, he spoke to Lucy at 8:48. Why at that point, what on Brad made his way to that destination? See, Lucy popped up at the Airbnb, but Brad never popped up at the Airbnb. Brad didn't go looking for his best friend. I'll go anywhere because we're going to be switching over and talking about Brad shortly. But I want to dive back into this. So it says here, the team with the dogs picked up Jay's tracks in the Airbnb he had left and in the valley where the phone last pinged. Basically where his phone ran empty. That's what it says there. But what doesn't make any sense to me is if their dog was able to pick up Jay's tracks at the Airbnb, as well as at that valley where his phone last pinged, then why wasn't the canines who originally tasked to the job by Guardia Civil, why wasn't they able to do the same thing? It says by noon, the dogs were rested to avoid high temperatures. During that break, the message came in that a body had been found. That could make sense as to why the dogs were then picking up the scent in the valley at that point. Bearing in mind, this is the day after the England game when all of those animals were going absolutely berserk in Masca. So maybe, just maybe, Jay's body wasn't there that whole entire time and the body was then put there after the football game. Because it doesn't make any sense how the canines working with the Guardia Civil had thoroughly been scouring that area. They come up with nothing whatsoever. These dogs who lands the day before the body is found pick up Jay's scent where the phone last pinged. He also picked up the scent at the Airbnb and then walked up the road that Jay allegedly walked up. But then tell me how the Guardia Civil's canines didn't pick up Jay's scent at the Airbnb. So based on the fact that they found the body, the goal had changed and it was now to capture Jay's roots as much as possible, so Jay's family could get more clarity about his final journey. So if that's the case, that can only be what Debbie is thanking the Signi team for. So it says here, the next day, a second dog, Signi's Royce, brought the search team to the helicopter site again. So again, this is also indicating that what we've been told originally is BS. How can on the second day, the search team dog bring them to the helicopter site again? The same site where they found Jay's body. The dog done it on the first day and the dog done it on the second day. But all of those 28 days prior, none of the dogs or none of the search team could actually find Jay's body. And none of those canines that were working with the Guardia Civil, as well as the people that were going through the cactuses and doing all the mountain climbing and all of these things, none of them could find Jay's body. All of those drones, the things that could actually get into those areas where it would be impossible for humans to get to without ropes and a harness, none of that for the 28 days could pick up Jay's body. But the moment the Signi team landed in Tenerife, the scent was at the Airbnb and the dog on 2 occasions was able to take the search team to the helicopter site where they found Jay's body. How was that possible? It goes on to say on the 3rd day of the search, the 3rd dog, Signi's Flex, managed to penetrate the scene of the accident, which means it was able to get to the point of destination, the actual point where Jay's body would have been located. It says a heavy hike of 2.5 hours was covered throughout the terrain with lots of weeds, bushes, and cacti. How the hell did Jay get through all of that? How the hell did Jay get through all of that? And they're saying 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours is a very, very long time. And again, this takes us back to what? Missing time. Because how the hell would it have taken Jay 2.5 hours to get to his point of fall, his point of destination? On the basis of Jay leaving the Airbnb at 8 o'clock, he would have got to his point of destination where his body would have been found around 10:30, quarter to 11 o'clock, latest. That's 3 hours. Brad spoke to him at 8:30. Lucy spoke to him at 8:50. There's still nearly 2 hours to be accounted for before Jay actually finds his destination at the bottom of the cliff. So much missing time, it's unreal. So it basically says here that Flex got to a point of destination where they could go no more. However, they did have the drone team. It says the steep descent down was spared for the team because the drone captured the end point 20 meters away from them. Again, missing time. That's the key thing here, missing time. Also want to turn our attentions back to Brad's interview. Everybody was focusing on this point of the interview. Everybody was talking about this point. But I think Brad was actually telling the truth about this point. Let's listen to this.
Ringing him. And look at you, probably, if thinking like me, you would have went back up and started walking around the path again. It wouldn't have gone all that way down there.
So you said that you could see his feet and he was actually sort of sliding down the hill? Like you could hear the ropes?
Yeah, that's how I knew he went off the road, because you could hear like...
There you go. So she said you could see his feet and he was nodding. He hasn't confirmed that he was on FaceTime to him. But what he does is slip up. He doesn't say he sees the stones. He says you can hear he's gone off road. I mean, if you was on FaceTime to him, you would have been able to see that he's actually gone off road. But Brad doesn't say that. Brad says you can hear that he's gone off road. Does that mean that Brad was never on FaceTime to him? Brad was on an audio call to him. I'm starting to believe that none of this took place. When it comes to Jay being in Masca and Brad's talking about Jay being in Masca, the phone call that he had with Jay, I just don't think that's true. I think that's a fabricated story. The reason I believe it's a fabricated story is because based on the time we've spoken about, even the time it took Jay to get to his point of destination, 2.5 hours, how the hell did Brad not get to that ravine with Lucy and the rest of the gang before Jay fell to his death? It makes no sense. They would have had enough time, plenty of time, to get to Jay's point of destination. When Lucy claimed that Jay was lying in a ditch cut by a cactus, I'm still struggling to understand if that happened before the fall or after the fall. Either way, they had enough time to get to his point of destination. They had his screenshots, iPhone maps, and Snapchat as well. So Jay used up a lot of energy to screenshot Snapchat and screenshot the iPhone maps to send them over to these guys. And they still couldn't jump into a cab and get to his point of destination within 2 hours. Bearing in mind, Brad had the phone call at 8:30. 2.5 hours means Jay fell to his death at 10:30. That's 2 hours of missing time.
When you walk on gravel or whatever it is, you can, you know what it means, storms.
He claims he heard that. He didn't say he saw that, which doesn't make any sense if he was on FaceTime. And that's the reason why I believe Brad was there. Brad couldn't tell you where Jay was if Brad hadn't been there. But there's something that Brad says that everybody has spoken about 100 million times before, and they claim that Brad's lying because it doesn't make any sense based on the story. But I think Brad could be telling the truth. And if he is telling the truth, guess what? It means there's more missing time. Let's listen to this.
Were you concerned at that point?
Not at the time, no, because we were both like laughing about it. He said, "Look where I am." Like, I just come out of a festival myself.
So at that point, he says, "I've just come out of a festival myself." Everyone said, "How can you just come out of a festival yourself when it's 8:30 in the morning?" Now, this is where Brad actually slips up. This is how you know the story that Brad has given us about Jay being in the mountains on the phone to him is a lie. Because one thing that Brad actually confirmed is he spoke to Jay on the phone whilst Jay was going up to the Airbnb, and Jay told him he's going to be back the next day. Now, if that phone call was genuine and Jay actually told you he's going to be back the next day, then you would have just come out of a festival at that point. So when Brad says, "I've just come out of a festival," he wasn't lying about him coming out of a festival and speaking to Jay, because he never spoke to Jay after that. He only spoke to Jay when he come out of the festival. And when he come out of the festival, Jay told him he's going up to the mountains, allegedly with these two guys, and he's going to be back the next day. And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, proves that there's missing time, but it also proves that he wasn't lying about speaking to Jay when he come out of the festival. He did come out of the festival, and that was the last time he spoke to Jay. What he's actually lying about is speaking to Jay in the morning. That's what he's lying about. And that means someone has forced him to make this story. It has taken him 12 days at this point to come out and speak. Someone's forced him to come out and say this story. But once again, ladies and gentlemen, another video where we can prove there's missing time, where we can prove people are lying. There's so much more where that came from, because there's so many more lies, so many more contradictions, so many things that are still available that will enable us to connect the dots and understand what happened to Jay SLATER. So make sure you guys don't go anywhere. Hit that like button, subscribe to this channel if we are new, turn your notification bells on so you don't miss out on any videos, and I look forward to seeing you guys on the next one.